It is a gray morning in February, and you are standing in a farmhouse kitchen in Ohio with your coat still on. A wood stove throws heat against your left side. The window has gone soft with steam, and on the counter in front of you there is no gadget at all. No machine with a cord. There is a bowl, a knife, a cast iron pan, a paper bag, a jar of bacon grease with a cloth over the top, and a woman of about 80 who has just cracked 6 eggs and is spooning something into them that will make you think she has lost her mind. It is mayonnaise. 1 spoonful into the raw eggs. She stirs it in without looking, and 8 minutes later she sets down a plate of scrambled eggs so tender that you will spend the rest of your life quietly disappointed by every other plate of eggs you are served. And when you ask her why, she does not give you a lecture. She shrugs. She says her mother did it. And you stand there in that steam, thinking about the drawer in your own kitchen at home, the one you shove with your hip to get it shut, full of tools that promised you exactly this and never delivered it. She did it with a spoonful of something that was already in the icebox. Now I want you to sit with that a moment, because you have been taught, quietly, your whole life, that good cooking is a thing you buy your way into. That the reason your eggs come out rubbery, and your soup comes out cloudy, and your onions make you weep, is that you have not yet purchased the right item. And I am not here to tell you every machine is worthless, but every one of them is new. The blender, the food processor, the air fryer, the whole humming shelf of them, they are barely older than a man's working life. For thousands of years before any of them existed, people put beautiful food on a table every single day, out of an iron pan and a wooden spoon, with knowledge instead of hardware. The gadgets did not teach us to cook. They gave us somewhere to put the money once we had forgotten how. My name is Amos. I am Amish, and I farm a valley here in Ohio, the same ground my father worked and his father before him. I did not learn what I am about to hand you from a book or a school. I learned it standing at a counter that was hip-high to me at the time, watching my grandmother's hands and asking why until she got tired of me. And she learned it from her mother, and her mother from hers, back down the line past where the names give out. This is not knowledge I own. It is knowledge that passed through me on its way to you. There are 30 small things I want to give you, and I will not fire them at you like a man reading a grocery list. I have sorted them the way my grandmother sorted them in her own head, into 6 families. There is the family of grease and moisture, which is about tenderness. The family of heat held back, which is about patience. The family of what wraps around your food while it waits for you. The family of the sharp and the savory, the 2 things that go where a knife cannot. The family of the scrap bucket, where nothing was ever thrown out. And the family of the tool and the 2 hands that hold it. 6 families, 30 hacks, and 1 plain idea running underneath all of it. So let me start you with the one that goes against everything a modern kitchen has taught you about being good. Grease. Fat, the thing you have been told for 40 years to hunt out of your food like a thief in the barn. Water is what makes food tender, heat is what drives the water out, and fat stands in the doorway and slows the heat so the water has time to stay. So that spoonful of mayonnaise in the eggs. 1 tablespoon for a half dozen, no more, stirred into the raw. Mayonnaise is only oil and egg to begin with. That oil coats every little bit of egg as it cooks and keeps it from squeezing itself dry and tight in the pan. Same idea with the mashed potatoes, and this one my mother swore by. When your potatoes are mashed and still steaming hot, you beat 1 raw egg yolk straight in. The heat of the potato is enough to take care of the yolk, and what you get back is a bowl of mash so glossy and so rich that folks will ask what you put in it, and the answer is nothing. 1 yolk. Now the burger. Make your patty, and before you close it up, press 1 small ice cube into the middle and seal the meat over it. That cube melts as the patty cooks and puts water back into the meat at exactly the moment the fire is trying to take it out. And pie dough. A splash of vodka in place of some of the ice water. It wets the flour so you can roll it, but it does not build the tough, stringy webbing plain water builds, and then it burns off in the oven and leaves the crust flaking apart in sheets. And the bacon grease. Poured hot through a bit of cloth into a jar with a lid, and every potato you fry in it for 2 months tastes like somebody who loved you cooked it. And you already know this in your own body. Think of your hands in January, the skin gone tight and split at the knuckles. That is not the cold cutting you. That is the cold drinking the water straight out of your skin. And what do you do about it? You do not add water. Water runs off. You rub grease in, and it stays. Fat guards the water. The water is the tenderness. Let the water go, and the tenderness goes with it. Now the second family is the one my grandfather would have called the patience of the coals, because he never once cooked in a hurry, and never once served a thing that was not good. Brute heat breaks a food apart. Patient heat turns it into something else. The whole modern kitchen is built to do the first one faster. Never boil a soup. Never boil a stew. Not once it is together. A rolling boil is a violence, 100 little fists beating your meat into threads and shaking the fat and the broth apart into a cloudy gray business that never comes back together. You want a simmer, and a simmer is when you stand over the pot and see one lazy bubble come up, and then you wait, and another comes up somewhere else. If you can hear it, it is too hot. Toast your spices in a dry pan. No oil, no butter, nothing but the pan and a low flame, 1 to 2 minutes, shaking the whole time, and do not walk away, because the difference between toasted and ruined is about 9 seconds. When you smell them, they are done. Your nose is the timer. Those spices sat in your cupboard 2 years with all their oil locked up asleep inside them, and the dry heat woke it. Cook your pancakes on cast iron. A thin pan gets hot where the flame is and stays cold everywhere else, and a heavy iron pan holds the heat like a stone in the sun and hands it back even and slow across the whole face of it. And soak your rice, 30 minutes, 60 if you have got it, in plain cold water before it meets the fire. The water walks into the middle of each grain on its own time, so the grain cooks through all at once, instead of the outside going to paste while you wait on the middle. And you already know this in your own body. Think of a man stepping out of a February morning into a scalding bath. He comes out red and raw and half sick. Now think of that same man easing in, holding still, letting the warmth work into him until the ache he has carried a week finally lets go. Same water, same heat. All that changed was the pace. Brute heat only breaks. Patient heat transforms. Here is a third bundle of them, and it turns on a question almost nobody thinks to ask about their own food. What does this thing want the air around it to be like? Every food wants a different dampness, and the whole mistake is that you keep them all in one place, treat them all the same, and wonder why half of it goes wrong. Cookies want a little damp, and they will steal it from anywhere, so you lay a sheet of tissue paper in the tin between the layers. That paper is a soft wall that holds the small bit of moisture the cookies breathe out and gives it back slow, and they stay chewy for days. Salad greens want damp air but do not want to sit in wet, so you lay a paper towel over the top of them in the box. That towel drinks up the free water that would turn a leaf to slime, and stays damp itself, so the air right over the greens stays humid. It gives the leaves the wet they want, without letting them swim in it. Fresh herbs want the most of all, so trim the ends, stand them in a glass of water like flowers on the table, and put a bag over the top. That bag is a little glass house. Parsley will go 2 weeks like that. And then the tomato, which wants the opposite of all of it. A tomato that came off the vine hard and pale goes in a plain brown paper bag, top folded over, on the counter. A ripening fruit breathes out a gas all by itself, and that gas is what tells it to ripen. Out on your counter it drifts away into the room and is lost. In the bag it gathers around the fruit and it works. And paper, never plastic, because paper lets the wet breathe out through it while it keeps the gas in, and plastic holds the wet too, and you will come back to a bag of rot. And you already know this in your own body. You have been in an August afternoon so thick you could not breathe, and your shirt stuck to you. And you have been in a January bedroom with the heat running all night, where you woke at 3 with your throat like paper. Opposite problems, and no one setting on this earth fixes both. That is your refrigerator. 1 room, one air, and a cookie, and a lettuce leaf, and a tomato, all sitting in it wanting 3 different lives. The paper and the bag and the glass of water are how you build each one the little room it wants. The 4th family is the one that does the work you cannot do with your hands, no matter how strong they are. Acid and salt. Acid takes what is tough and pulls it apart. Salt moves water from one place to another. Between them there is little in a kitchen they cannot fix. Marinate your tough cuts in vinegar and broth, equal parts, half and half, overnight. Not vinegar alone, because vinegar alone goes too far and turns the outside of the meat chalky. The broth holds it back and puts flavor in while the vinegar does the loosening. Put 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar in the pot when you cook dry beans, and you will be a kinder person to live with, because the acid works on the hard parts of the bean your belly cannot break down. Splash the juice from the pickle jar into your potato salad. Do not throw that juice out, ever. It is salt and vinegar and dill, and a potato is a bland thing begging for it. And a pinch of salt in a bitter cup of coffee. Not sugar, salt. It takes the bitter edge off and leaves the coffee tasting like coffee, and if you put in enough to taste it, you have put in too much. Now the onion. Slice it and set the slices in a bowl of cold water for 10 minutes before they go near a salad. What bites your tongue in a raw onion dissolves in water. 10 minutes and the water has taken it away and left you an onion that still tastes like onion but does not shout at you. And the boiled eggs, 2 parts. First, drop them into water that is already boiling. Do not start them cold. Starting cold heats the eggs slow, and the white grabs hold of the shell like it was glued there. Second, when they are done, they go straight into a bowl of cold water with a teaspoon of salt stirred in. The cold pulls the egg in on itself, and away from the shell, the salt helps it along, and the shell comes off in 2 pieces. And you already know both of these in your own body. You have chewed something too sour, and felt the flesh of your own cheek go soft and strange. That is acid taking a thing apart, and that is what it does to the tough strings in your beef all night in that bowl. And you have eaten a salty supper, and woke at midnight with a thirst a pitcher would not touch. Nobody took water from you. The salt called it, and your body sent it. Acid breaks the hard. Salt moves the wet. Now I want to take you out to the bin by the kitchen door, because the 5th family lives in there, and in my grandmother's house it did not exist. She had no garbage. That is not a boast. It is a fact about a woman who lived through years you would not want to hear about. Onion skins, the papery brown ones you peel off and drop. Keep those in a bag, and when you make a stock, in they go, and they give that broth a gold color and a deep round taste no bouillon cube can copy, and you have been throwing it out your whole life. The bacon grease again, and I say it twice because it earns saying twice. Salt for curing meat, packed on thick, because salt calls the water out of the meat and out of every germ in the meat at the same time, and a thing with no free water in it cannot rot. Honey over fruit. Slice your peaches or your pears down into honey in a jar, and they keep, because honey has almost no water in it, and is so thick and so sweet that nothing living survives sitting in it. It gets thirsty and it withers. And then the jars, and here I want you careful, because canning is where an old way turns serious. 2 ways, and you must not mix them up. The high acid things, your tomatoes and pickles and fruit, go in a water bath, a pot of boiling water on the stove. The low acid things, your beans and meat and broth, must go in a pressure canner, because a boiling pot on your stove does not get hot enough to kill what can grow in a jar of low acid food, and what grows in there is a poison you cannot see or smell or taste. Water bath for the sour, pressure for the plain. And you already know this in your own body, though it is a harder one to look at. You know what it is to be the thing that gets used up, and you know what it is to be the thing somebody kept. My grandmother did not save onion skins because she was clever. She saved them because in her whole understanding of the world, there was no such thing as a piece of food that had stopped being food. There was no bin. There was only a thing that had not found its use yet. And the last family is the smallest of them, and it is nothing but the handle of a knife and the flat of a palm. A new stone mortar is full of grit and dust from the making of it, and if you use it as it comes, you will be eating that grit. So you cure it. A handful of plain white rice and a spoonful of coarse salt, ground round and round until the rice goes to powder and comes up gray. Throw that out and do it again, and again, until the powder comes up white. Cut your onion from the root to the stalk, with the grain, not across it. All the sting that makes you cry lives down in the root end, and cutting across opens every one of those little cells at once and throws the whole of it up into your face. Cutting along the lines, you open far fewer of them, and you keep the root whole in your hand until the very last, and you will stand there dry-eyed wondering where the tears went. When you roll dough, flour the counter but oil your palms. Flour under it so it does not stick to the wood. Oil on your hands so it does not stick to you, because flour on your hands gets worked into the dough and makes it dry and tough. And when you grease a cake pan, dust it with sugar instead of flour. Flour leaves a pale, chalky skin on the outside of your cake that you can taste. Sugar keeps it from sticking just the same, and then melts in the oven into a thin, sweet crust. So instead of a flaw, you have got something better than what you started with. And you already know this in your own body, because you have watched a man who was good at a thing do it. You have watched somebody drive a nail in 2 strokes where you would have taken 9 and bent it. He was not stronger than you. He knew where the nail wanted to go. The onion has a grain in it, same as a board does. Work with the way the thing already is, and it takes no strength at all. Now here comes the turn, and I want you to lean in for it, because I have counted 30 things for you, and I want to tell you what they add up to. I am not going to tell you there is a villain in this. There is not. Nobody sat in a room and decided you should not know that a spoonful of mayonnaise fixes eggs. It is simpler than that, and worse. Go and look in your kitchen. There is a machine in there for chopping onions, a machine for softening meat, a spray in a can for greasing a pan, a plastic box with a valve on the lid for keeping lettuce, a bottle of powder for making beans easy on you. Every problem I named you today has an appliance built for it. Every appliance has a product that goes with it, and the product runs out. Every one of these 30 hacks is an appliance you did not have to buy, and the reason nobody told you is not a conspiracy, it is arithmetic. There is no money in a pinch of salt. There is no money in a paper bag. Nobody earns a commission on the way you hold a knife. A man cannot feed his family selling you a spoonful of something already in your icebox, so he does not, so you never hear it, and after 2 generations of never hearing it, it is gone. That is where the money can and cannot go. Which means the only place this knowledge could survive was in kitchens, handed across a counter from a woman to a boy who would not stop asking why. Now I need to stop and speak to you plain, the way my grandfather set down his tools when a thing mattered, because I would rather you trust me than be impressed by me. Most of what I gave you today cannot hurt you, but 3 of them are food safety and not cooking, the canning, water bath for the sour, and pressure for the plain, and find a good tested guide and follow it to the letter, and never eat out of a jar whose lid has bulged. The salt curing, start small and learn it from somebody who has done it, not from me in 20 minutes. And the honey over fruit, keep it cold and eat it in a season. That is a keeping method, not a forever. And one more. If you watched me talk about eggs, you already know it, and here it is again, because it is the best thing I know and it costs you nothing. Before you use an egg you are not certain of, set it in a bowl of plain water. If it sinks and lays down on its side, it is good. If it floats up or stands on its end, you throw it out. You do not crack it, you do not smell it. It works, because an egg loses its water slow through the shell, and the pocket of air inside it grows, and light things float. Trust the water, it does not lie. And it is the perfect one to end on, because that is this whole video in one bowl. No machine. No product, no date stamped on anything, just a thing that is true. So let me set the whole of it back in your hands. The grease and the water, where fat stands in the doorway and holds the tenderness in. The patient heat, where the brute fire breaks and the slow fire builds. The wrapping, where every food wants its own weather and the mistake is one cold room for all of them. The acid and the salt, where the sour breaks the hard, and the salt calls the water, the scrap bucket, where there was no such thing as garbage, only a thing that had not found its use, and the hand and the edge, where you go with the grain of an onion the same as the grain of a board, grease, patience, weather, sour and salt, scraps, hands, 30 small things, and not one machine among them. Now I want to hear from you, and I mean that true. Tell me down below where you live, what corner of the world you are watching from, and then tell me the one your family had, because every family has one. Some strange little thing your mother or your grandmother did at that stove that you thought was only a quirk of hers, until you tried it without her and found out she was right. What went in the pot that had no business in the pot? I read every single comment that comes to me on these. Every one. Because this knowledge does not live in books. It lives in kitchens and in cellars and in the memory of folks like you, and every time one of you writes down what your people did, one more of these gets saved from going quiet. And before you go, let me tell you what I am setting out next time. Everything I gave you today happens in the moment, with the pan hot and supper waiting. Next time I want to take you a few steps to the left, to the shelf, and show you the jars. Because there are things sitting on my shelf right now, in plain glass, at room temperature, with no cold and no cord, and no hum in the corner, that most folks would swear cannot be kept that way. Soft things, rich things, things you have been told go bad in a week and must live in the cold or they will turn on you. And they have sat there a long while, good and sound, and I am going to show you exactly how each one got into that jar and how long it will